Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it.
Check.
Have I got the right microphone on?
Yep.
Sounds like it on my end, yeah.
Hey, you know what would be horrible, Bruce?
What's that?
If on next Monday's show, for the introduction and half of the outro, the wrap-up, I don't have the microphone on.
Well, who would be silly enough to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Tune in next week.
Folks.
Yeah, tune in next week. That's maybe what we should do, eh? Start doing...
Yeah, tune in next week to find out what got voted on and what happened.
See how many people noticed.
Yeah, see how many people noticed. We've got a lot of people we got to get. I got a T-shirt story to tell you guys.
Oh, wow.
So I actually
got one.
What was that?
I said somebody finally got one.
Wow.
That's another Lincoln Home.
Yeah.
Kelly, bring in the chin music.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Kelly, learning how to record the podcast.
You're in trouble back to case. Oh, man.
That was a good run.
Save it for a long time.
So I have this spreadsheet that I made that I'm very proud of, but it's pretty much of a manual entry. So, and people have tried to help me, and there's no fancy way to get it. So I have like everybody's information, their names and addresses. Some of the people I got to send in addresses because I need their address. And so actually, I'm like, I've got it, and then I can. It's getting better and better. I was sending out some T-shirts today, and even I got the Australian guys organized. I got like 7 or 8 guys T-shirts all in one box going to our buddy Nigel Gartshore. I wonder if the T is silent on Gartshore. There would be that, and there'd be like Toronto. I wonder if it's Gartshore or it's Garshore. What do you think?
We better find out, because he's the Australian division chief distributor, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's a distributor. He's in Queensland. Queensland, Australia. And anyways, he volunteered that I'm going to put all of the packages in one box, FedEx it to him, because it absolutely positively has to get there. And then Nigel has volunteered to then individually mail out the packages throughout the country of Australia.
Wow. Beautiful.
That's very cool.
Well done, Nigel.
Yeah, well done, Nigel. Nigel, is the T silent? Is it Garshore or Gartshore? We'll have to find out. Is it Nigel or just Niall?
Wow.
Is the G silent? Is the G silent?
It's Nige.
Nige.
He's now the AML distributor.
Well, yeah, he's volunteered.
Apparel in Australia, yeah.
He's volunteered. Yeah, it's a very nice thing to do for us.
Yeah.
It really was, yeah.
Unless, of course, it turns out he plans on just keeping them all.
He waited so long for his. He said, "Hey, I got free shirts."
Yeah.
In that case, it wasn't so nice.
No, in that case, in that case, he kind of saw us
different sizes.
Yeah. Tune in a couple months and find out what happened.
Yeah. In that case, Nigel saw us coming down the street.
Yeah. The wrong way. Was going the wrong way.
Different size shirts.
Well, he'll sell it. He'll take them to the next train show and sell them. So there's lots of people that have their shirts kind of up to date, or they're just like one shirt short or whatever. It's not a
one
complete
shirt short of a load.
Yeah, one shirt short of a load. It's not a complete mishmash. It's just a sort of a mishmash. And
all right, well,
yeah,
we can live with that.
Yeah, like there's plenty of people that have gotten like let's see here. I'm giving an example.
Is it safe to say it's a marginally adequate mishmash?
Yeah, I think it's almost marginally adequate. Like Peter Borchardt, he had a package go out to. He's gotten all his T-shirts, and lots of people. I got
all mine.
You got all yours. There's lots of people that have got, but for some strange and peculiar reason, I'm going through the list, right, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to look for all the Australian addresses and make sure everybody, gets the shirts, and I get everybody into the box, and I get all, so I get everybody going that's in Australia. I don't miss anybody. So I'm going through the list. And now I'm telling you this story because it's a classic example of what an idiot I am. That I'm best referred to as your dim-witted brother. So I'm going through the list, and I find, here's David Coverdale, and he doesn't. I don't have his shirt size, but he hasn't gotten any shirts. Oh, I better check and see how long he's been a member of the Patreon channel, because he hasn't gotten any shirts. He's been a member of the Patreon channel for 6 years.
Ooh.
Oops,
man.
That's not an oops. I sent him an email. I said, "Is this true? Have I not sent you any shirts?" And he said, "Nope, I haven't gotten any shirts." And then he says, "And my size is large." To which, of course, I replied, "Oh, you like them skin tight?" And can you imagine one of us in a size large?
No.
So, anyways, David, I apologize. That's one example of my.
Oh, let's say because I could imagine it's not a pretty sight.
Yeah.
Is Joe D'Amato on that list?
No, I don't think
he doesn't live in Australia. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell him that Monday.
He's not a $10 member. I don't think he was a 20. He was being a very honorable guy.
Right.
And then he changed his mind, and now I think he's just a guy now.
Oh,
but he must. I'll send him.
T-shirt
You want me to send him some shirts?
Yeah, to just humor him a little bit.
All right. He must have gotten some shirts. Has he never gotten any shirts?
I don't know. He did. He
wants more shirts.
No, I don't know how many shirts he's gotten.
He
always looks like he looks like he stepped out of.
He looks like me,
lumberjack. He's always wearing shirts that make him look like a lumberjack.
Okay, he looks like me, like he dresses like he just got out of bed.
Actually, probably true.
That's me. I dress like I just got out of bed.
Boy.
Anyways, this particular show is with Eric Hansmann and David Owens, because it's about. I thought me and David Owens were talking about NERPM, and then I thought, hey, it'd be great. You're excused. Yeah. And you know what? This show's on the free channel, so it's sponsored. It's sponsored by Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
I cannot look at myself while I'm doing this. There's no way. Right. I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. Off. Yeah, I can look at you guys. I just can't look at myself. Well, actually, I can't look at Brad either. But that's a whole different.
I just fixed that problem.
Well, at least you know how to put a sticker on your.
Oh, jeez.
Exactly. That's beautiful, Bruce. Your microphone sticker is beautiful. It's perfectly centered. It's everything. It's everything you could hope for in a microphone sticker.
Absolutely. I'm not a chump, I took great pride and care in affixing this sticker to my Shure microphone.
So anyways, this is Eric Hansmann, David Owens talking about, and then we were talking about RPMs, and then we got talking about Eric Hansmann has on his on his blog. I hate blogs. I hate blogs with a passion. I'm not a blog guy. I don't understand blogs. I don't understand why they're so disorganized. And every blog guy will go, no, it's not disorganized. Down the side, there's different subjects. And then you'll click on hopper cars, and there'll be 432 stories about hopper cars. So then you got to scroll through all those stories to find the one story you want. Remember before the internet, you'd want to find a story in a magazine, and one of your old model railroaders or your railroad model craftsmen, and you'd be like, that was last July.
Yeah.
So then you go back to last July. Nope. It's thumb through the page. Nope, it's not there. Maybe it was August. So you have the thumb. It's not in August. It must have been June. Thumb. It's not. Now you've looked at the whole year. You've looked at all of your 1986 model railroaders. You can't find the story. And you're thinking, well, maybe it was the year before. So now you're looking through 12 more magazines trying to find that one story, because there was no internet. There was nothing. It was just... It's all you had was a horse, a buggy,
and a couple tin cans and a piece of string.
Yeah, a couple of tin cans and a piece of string, and your skill saw was water powered, you know. There was no electricity. All your tools were steam powered. Your steam powered skill saw and your steam powered jigsaw.
Well, that's back when you needed to get information. You went to the library, and if it was a periodical, you had to pull out this old book to look through it to find the magazine you're looking for and the subject and everything else.
But what if you couldn't remember the magazine you were looking for?
Well, that's a different story.
Well, that's
I've done that before. It's got to be in this magazine. It turns out like 3 weeks later, it was in the other magazine.
Yeah. And then did anybody else go through this phase? I went through a phase where I was going to cut out all the stories I wanted from my old MRs and make binders. I got like 4 binders of really organized stories and articles and structure things. And I'm like, I spent hours and hours and hours doing that. If somebody had told me they were going to invent the internet, I wouldn't have bothered. I would have just waited the next 8 years.
Yeah. I never did that. I've got a whole pile of back issues of RMC and MR and filing cabinets in the basement, and some in boxes on the shelf, file boxes on the shelf. So
those RMCs are probably worth money, because didn't Otto say they lost a lot of their stuff in a flood?
They lost a lot of the archives in something. I don't remember if it was a flood or fire or what, but I do remember
water damage or something.
Water damage. So those old copies of RMC are probably worth a little more than the MR.
Yeah, they're not. You can get them pretty inexpensively on certain auction sites online and looking around. So,
well, that's what I want to talk to you, Brad, about that N-Scale Facebook auction thing. I forgot to talk to you about that when we were talking to Patrick. Toffee.
Okay. Yes.
Rapido trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
Okay, that's it.
They make N-scale stuff too.
They do make
They do.
Yeah. Do you have any, Brad? Do you have any Rapido trains?
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
Yes, I do. And I almost answered that before Bruce got a chance. You almost tricked me, but
that's why you were biting your finger.
Yeah, it was.
Are you like Todd Treaster? Do you have like 3,000 cars in your yard?
No, I don't have that many. I do have quite a few, but I don't have as many as Todd does.
What's the overall size of your layout, Brad?
It's in a 20 by 20 room, and it goes around 3 of the walls, and then there's a big peninsula too that it goes. So I would guess it's probably, and it's not done yet, but I would guess right now I probably have, it's probably a 50-foot run, I bet.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good run.
Not insignificant in N scale.
No, that's right. Not insignificant in any scale.
Yeah. So it'll go around. It'll go the rest of the way around the room there's already one hidden staging yard built, and then there will be a second one when I get it. I'm hoping to have that done this summer, to have that whole room filled, and so we'll see how it goes. I don't
want to take any wind out of your sail, but every summer, after all the kids are gone, and you're thrilled that the school year is over, and you don't have to try to teach the young adults a better way of life. And you go, I hope to get this done this summer. Has there ever been a summer when you got it done?
Yeah, the last 2 I've actually done quite well with my summer plans.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know why? That's because you found the AML.
Yeah. And also I learned to lower my expectations for myself. I find I'm disappointed far less frequently if I lower my expectations.
There you go.
Yeah.
Why strive for the best when you can settle for mediocre?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Kelly, you don't have to. Yeah, you do have to. Go ahead, Kelly.
Subway chimes, go.
Kelly?
Yes, Lionel.
Can you give me one good reason why we should keep this podcast going?
The fans.
The fans?
Yes, the fans.
The people.
Can't the fans and the people find another podcast?
No, nothing comes close to this.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'll turn my camera off.
Yeah, turn your camera off. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to look at you.
That's okay.
All right. Any day now, you're going to have the big professional mic going. I bet you by the next time you're on the podcast, you'll have the big mic going.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
And do you notice who else is in the studio tonight?
Yeah, man, I can't believe he's here.
Dave Owens. Dave Owens. Have you ever met Bruce Kelly?
I don't know if in person. Were you at West Springfield?
Yeah, I was at Springfield, but I may not have met you at Springfield.
Well, I was at the Shindig up at the Hampton Inn.
Okay.
We did not make the direct connection.
So you guys have been within 10 feet of each other, probably.
Yeah, I was sitting in the back. I wasn't doing very well that day.
Yeah, that's right. But you guys have probably been within mere feet of each other.
Oh yeah, we've probably walked by each other.
Probably walked by. You guys may have been within like 3 feet of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe the same air.
The same air. So, Dave, let me formally introduce you to the modeler simply known as Kelly.
Hi, Dave.
Hi there, Kelly. Is it modeler or Kelly?
It's Kelly. It's the modeler. It's just like
simply known as Kelly.
It's the modeler simply known as Kelly. It's like Cher.
Not
like
to be
Cher.
confused with Bruce. That's why.
Yeah, it's like Cher. No, it's just because you're the modeler simply known as Kelly. It's like Cher. It's like anybody. It's like Elvis. Everybody knows who Elvis is.
Charo.
Or Charo. There you go. Yeah. Nice one. Or
deep.
Or the great one, Gretzky. That's all you got to say is Gretzky. And you're talking about the great one. So in this particular case, we are talking about the modeler, simply known as Kelly. I'm surprised, Dave, being in your position of power in the hobby of model railroading.
Power.
Yeah. Because you're the czar of the Northeast New England, the NRPM, RPM meet. And so, I mean, you're the head honcho there. Everybody can tell by the way you parade yourself around, asking people to move out of the way.
And he's in training for Springfield.
And you're in training for Springfield. I'm gonna try to make sure I get to Springfield for the next couple of years, because once Dave takes over, I'm pretty sure it's going to be like handing the Montreal Canadiens over to. It's going to be like handing. It's going to be like handing. It's going to be like handing. It's like going to be like the New England Patriots without Tom Brady.
Oh boy,
or it's
there's a vote of confidence.
Yeah, I know, eh? Or it's going to be like the Edmonton Oilers without Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier. No, I don't believe that. I don't
either. I think it's going to be good.
I think it's going to be great. It's just that we have to respect. We have to continually respect and pay tribute to the man that has made Springfield what it is today.
Oh, yeah.
That is truth. The truth. John Sacerdoti.
John Sacerdoti, the man, the myth, the legend. Davey, could you move your microphone just a tad closer to your nose or your face or someplace?
How about that?
Yeah, that's good. It'll all work out. So, you guys, the reason I have both you guys in the studio tonight is because not long ago we interviewed Mr. Owens all about the Northeast RPM, the NRPM, excuse me. So we interviewed him about NRPM, and we had a great discussion that night. Amongst other things, we talked about RPM meets and yada, yada, yada. And then I thought to myself, hey, you know what we ought to do one of these days is we ought to get our buddy Eric Hansmann back on. I think, Dave, you and I were talking about him, weren't we?
I think we did, because Eric keeps, he does a lot to support prototype modeling, including keeping a schedule of all the meets.
Right. That's right.
On his website.
That's right. And that night we were stumbling, trying to remember what the name of the website was. And then finally we remembered, and that tweaked me to thinking, we should get Eric on here just to have a little general chit chat about RPMs, because we're still having that discussion all these years later that RPM meets are strictly for snobs and model railroading.
And of course they're not.
But it's been because there's so many people that'll go, I was going to take something, but I didn't. And like everybody should take something to an RPM meet.
Absolutely.
Because I went to last year's I went to NRPM 2023. I'm not exactly sure when this is being aired. I don't know if I went to NRPM 2024. I don't know if I'm going to NRPM 2024. This may be after NRPM 2024. But I think it's important to continue the discussion about RPM meets because it's become such a major facet of the hobby. Would that be a fair statement?
I think so.
Okay. Let's get, don't forget to project, Dave, when you're talking.
I will project.
Projecting is key. For some reason or other, your microphone is a little too far away.
How about now?
There
That's
you
better.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. You just can't breathe.
Holding my breath.
What's new in, okay, let's get Eric in here. Before we start talking, Eric, we'll get him in, we'll bring him into, Eric, come on into the studio. Eric?
Hey.
There you go. Were you on
I
mute?
made it.
Were you on mute or something?
Yes, I was on mute.
Oh, don't ever put yourself on mute.
Well, I didn't want you to hear me breathing.
Well, if we hear you breathing, we'll be stopping the podcast and correcting that because a few weeks ago we had one where there was, we rarely have breathing. We try to constantly correct that, as Mr. Owens can attest. And a few weeks ago, we had a fans podcast on a Monday where one of our participants was a heavy, heavy breather, and it just about drove everybody nuts. How to kill a podcast without trying hard. Let people breathe into their microphone without stopping it. Oh my God, it's like the worst thing on the planet. So anyways, Eric, the reason I've asked you to come into the studio tonight or today, depending on when people are listening to this, if they're on their way to work, if you're Tom Patterson and you're listening to this on your way to work, or if you're Brad Williamson and you're listening to this while you're working on something on your workbench. The reason I asked you to come by is because we were having a discussion a month ago, whatever it was, with Mr. Owens about NRPM, and we decided we were talking about design build ops at Hansmann.org. That's a pretty big handle you got there.
Thank you.
Why is it design build op? It's the word design, the word build, and then op.hansmann.org.
Well, the blog is a subset of my website, hansmans.org.
Okay, so do you have a separate website that's just hansmann.org?
Yes, there's not much there. Most of it's on the blog.
Okay.
I actually have had this domain now for 20 years. So, I had big ideas back then and decided to just focus a lot more on the blog and convey a lot of ideas through that.
Now, I don't know how often you listen to the podcast. I have fireside chats with a fellow named Dave Ableys, Uncle Dave Ableys. He's a permanent fixture here at the old AML. And I quite bluntly say to him, it's been well documented. I hate blogs.
Yes, I think I've heard that a few times listening to podcasts. Each time I think, Lionel probably just loves the blogs I work on. So.
Well, they're confusing. Now, let me say, I went to your blog today because I wanted to get ready for this particular recording. And Dave, you can speak up whenever you want if you got something to say. Okay. And Kelly, not so much.
Okay.
So I did go to your blog, and then I found very easily on the front page, under resource pages, I found the RPM event calendar.
Great.
Yeah, so that was really easy to find. It's the part I don't like about blogs is when you get to the archives and the blog rolls and you're trying to find something on the blog and it's like, well, like November 2022. Well, what was in November 2022? Let me click on that. It says the latest freight car model. Well, now how would I know that on November 9th, 2022, you posted about the latest freight car model?
Well, a lot of people aren't looking for the date. They're looking for the topic. And down below on the right side, there's a list of topics because I tag all of my blog posts. And, if you wanted to find out about USRA freight cars, there's a link there, and it will pull together all the blog posts that I've tagged with USRA freight cars.
Okay, so now I've clicked on coal hoppers.
Yeah.
And then one comes up July 3rd, 2021, continuing. Now, like I have to, how many articles am I going to have to scroll through under coal hoppers for?
I think there's 5 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a second page too.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to stand by. I like that. Actually, there's some really good stuff here. I highly recommend people go to designbuildophansmann.org and search through the blog. Somebody's breathing into their microphone, and I'm guessing that's you, Eric.
Nope, not me. I was holding my breath.
Yeah, it's always the guy that says he's holding his breath. Trust me. It's always that guy.
Always.
After years and years of experience, I've discovered it's always that guy. Okay, so all right, but okay, so I get it. I'm going to tolerate this, but the main reason we've come to you is because one of the things that you do have on your blog under resource pages is the RPM event calendar, which I find to be incredibly handy and helpful.
Thank you.
And when did you start that?
That's a good question. Maybe.
Are some of the questions I've asked you in the past not so good?
Oh, no. Most of them have been good. There have been a few clunkers, but in general.
Jeez.
In general, they've been good. It hasn't been 10 years, maybe 6 or 8 years.
And what possessed you to start doing this RPM? Did somebody ask you?
No, there wasn't a resource out there. There wasn't a valid, regularly updated, accurate site that listed all these events. So I did it.
Okay. And so I remember how Dave. It's all coming back to me now.
Good.
Is it coming back to you, Dave?
It is. It's
okay.
Sort of.
This conversation and getting Eric involved started when we were trying to remember hindsight 2020.
Oh, that's right.
Or 2020 hindsight. Which one is it?
Hindsight 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not. Are they listed? They're not listed on your event page, are they?
Well, you probably skipped right over it. It's at the top. It's underneath the flag, underneath where it says upcoming Railroad Prototype Modeler events. Hindsight 2020.
Oh, yeah. It's a virtual.
And then there's the 2024 events after that.
Hindsight 2020 is a virtual RPM gathering on the Zoom platform. These events have been held on Saturdays and feature several 30-minute presentations on prototypes and modeling. Registration required, but there is no event cost. How long has it been going?
That began during the pandemic.
Yeah, shortly after the pandemic started.
Okay. Because it's we need to give a tip of the hat and steer people towards it. Do either of you guys? Isn't it run by a fellow named Ted Collada?
3 people actually. Ted Collada. Help me out, Dave.
Hunter Houston.
Yes, Hunter.
And Ryan Mindell.
Ryan Mindell. Yes.
Hunter Houston and Ryan Mindell. Do you think any of these gentlemen would like to be on the podcast?
Oh, sure. They're all great guys.
Are they?
They are indeed. And all 3 of them will be at NERPM.
And which one of these fellas do you like the best, Dave?
They're all pretty cool dudes.
Yeah, that wasn't the question. I asked you which one you like the best.
2 of them are Canadian.
I've known Ted the longest. And Ted's a great guy. And I've gotten to know Hunter. He's a great guy. He's on the Penn Central board with me. And Ryan, I don't know as well, but he's got this neat company that makes models. So
okay, and
they're all cool in my book.
All right, I'm going to try to find this so we can steer people towards this because I'm not finding it easily. What would be the URL that we would look for?
Well, I only put it on there. I only put a link on there when they have something scheduled.
Okay.
It's usually the registration is through the speedwitchmedia.com site, which is Ted Collada's company.
So Hindsight 2020 doesn't have a website of its own?
No.
Is it a secret? Are they trying to make it a secret or?
No, not necessarily. It's just that it just kind of happened because of the pandemic. And then as the pandemic has eased, we haven't had as much of them, but they're trying to do a couple a year. So really the only time that they really need to have it is, or have information about it, is when there's one scheduled. It's not a regularly scheduled event.
And what could we do to encourage these guys to have a regularly scheduled event? Because it seems like it's been wildly popular. From what I've seen, it seems very professionally done, very enjoyable. Is there some place that people can go and see past Hindsight 2020s?
They're not recorded.
They're not recorded. Okay.
There is a group on IO. Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, see if you can find that.
Hindsight 2020 is on groups.io. That's the replacement for Yahoo Groups. And that's where they share information about the event. That's where people who present data or maybe attachments from their clinic.
Right.
And
seems a shame that they don't record it.
Well, I think recording it is an issue because sometimes people use photos that they have one-time use to share, and it wouldn't be appropriate. So Hindsight 2020 at groups.io is the location. Groups.io is, as I said, the former Yahoo.
Okay. Well, me personally, I would think these guys would be doing everybody a huge favor if they figured out a way to record it or something, because man, every time I've checked them out, they're spectacular. They really are. Hats off to those guys. We should have one of them on the podcast. Who would you pick to have on the podcast, Dave?
Jerry.
Okay, he's the guy you like the best?
Hunter Hewson. Yes, Hunter Hewson. He's the guy. Yes, he's the guy I like the best.
Okay, there you go.
Ted's gonna smack me
now. Eric, just move that microphone just a little bit farther from your nose.
It's not me. I was actually breathing in when someone was breathing out.
Oh, okay. Well, it can't be Kelly. It's never been Kelly.
It's too far away.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I guess it's our buddy, Dave. Move it about a 16th of an inch, Dave. What is it with people in giant nostrils? Have you guys done any investigation into that?
I like air. I'm sorry. I'm a big fan of breathing. So I did track instead of swimming in school. plenty
now you've moved it too far away.
I'm not projecting.
No.
How about now?
You just need to keep it in front of your face. No,
not breathe.
No, just in front of your face, and just at the tip of your nose. So it's like,
but above the nose, right?
Yeah, right there. That's perfect. You had it perfect last time we talked to you. Because it's very disconcerting when people are breathing. I don't know. I don't understand why they feel like they have the need to do so. So, okay, Eric, where do you stand on our? Let's just we can close this up pretty quickly because it seems like we're not making any headway. But
all right.
Jeez. Well, I thought it would be fun to talk about RPMs, and it is fun to talk about RPMs. And I'm incredibly grateful for the RPM event calendar, but it seems like it's an ongoing thing that RPMs have attached to them. That a lot of it is high-end modeling that most people feel like they can't achieve. And I know it's really important to Dave to try to dispel that rumor, because when I went to NERPM in 2023, I had a great time. I didn't have any models to display. I just walked around with my little recorder. Everybody wanted to talk. That's where I met Teddy D, and I just had a great time. And so, I thought, well, geez, let's have another discussion about RPMs and see if we can't dispel this rumor even further.
Well, let me throw out a question and see what Eric thinks, if you don't mind. I've said before in our discussions, Lionel, that I sometimes regret calling our event a prototype modelers meet, because it does sort of create an impression of we're highfalutin, and that's sure not the intent. And what do you think, Eric? Is that, I know these events grew out of an idea that were initially proto meets, but what do you think about that use of that term? And would it be better just to describe ourselves just a modeling meet?
Yeah, or a modeler showcase.
It's a branding thing, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I think it's I push it, the fact that they inspire people to model, to push forward and learn skills and try something different. And from what I see at these meets, there's a lot of people doing just that.
I think it's really important. I think we're entering a new era in the hobby where it's really, really important. Like somehow we need to learn how to convey. Go to Eric's website, but just because Eric likes to model to the prototype and try to recreate his models as accurately as possible doesn't mean what you are doing personally isn't satisfactory or good enough somehow. I just have that sense that, there's like the hobby is all sorts of different levels.
Well, a cornerstone, I think, and again, I defer to Eric on his thoughts, but a cornerstone of what we call prototype modeling meets is there's no judging, and that's across the board. There's no contest, and no one judges, what you bring. It's a welcoming atmosphere. Everybody's welcome. All models are welcome, and I think there's something we all can learn from just about anybody.
That's a big part. That's a really big part, that there is no judging, that people are comfortable bringing their models just to display and to discuss. I've been involved with RPMs now since probably 1999, and it's been great to see them flourish. There's 22 for this year on that calendar. That includes the ones that have already happened in the first few months of the year. And that's more than I've ever seen on this calendar. I remember when it was like 7 or 8 in a year.
And they continue to grow, and they continue to seem to be important. I guess, excuse me. I guess I've been to like 3 or 4. I've been to the one in Chicago and Napierville a few times, but last year was my first trip to NERPM, excuse me. And I just had a great time. I feel like and I know the St. Louis meet is very popular, and I'm thinking to myself, man, they could draw a lot more people to these things if somehow they could get the word out and people knew that they were there. Like, I understand there's no operating layouts and it's just about modeling, but that's primarily why most people are in the hobby, is to enjoy the modeling.
Yeah, the Valley Forge meet was held at the end of March here in Metro Philly, and they had 320 people come through, which was the most that they've seen.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how's what do you call them? What do you call it? Registration? How's registration going for NERPM?
We're down a little bit. We've sort of we had to go up on our price because we moved and the place is a lot more expensive, and I'm concerned that we may have scared some people off with our price. But I hope that they realize that we're offering basically more than 2 days of activities for $60, which is again just to cover the cost of the place. Nobody's making any money on these deals.
And
so I hope we can generate some.
What was it last year?
I think it was 40 in advance, 45 at the door. So we went up about $20.
So that shouldn't really make any difference at all.
No, it shouldn't.
If you want to go, you want to go. I mean, if anybody that's going to Tomstock, it's $120 for the whole weekend for riding the RDC and Jerry Britton's cheese ball run and things like. Hey, I wonder if we could get that put on the. If we just called it the Modeler's Life RPM. We could get Eric to put it on his page.
Oh, man.
What's new with you? Where are you living now, Eric? Because I know you're basically been on the run from the law for several decades. Where do you live now? The last time I remember, I think it was Nashville.
That's correct. We moved from Nashville in late 2022 and bought a house here in Philadelphia in February 2023.
Oh, wow.
So we are in northwest Philly, just about a mile or two from the city line. Really enjoying it here. Met a lot of really good modelers and been to several operating sessions here and got my old layout up and running again and building kits and stuff and looking forward to the next project.
Eric is about 15 minutes from where I grew up.
That's right.
And
near a very fine cheesesteak place too.
2 of them, actually.
Yes.
And the names are?
D'Alessandro's and Chubby's.
Chubby's Cheesesteak.
Yep, they're right across the street from each other.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Plus, we got a cool joint here called the Pierogi Kitchen.
And there you go. My wife.
That sounds pretty good.
My wife loves pierogies. I mean, I'm like, I'm 50-50 on pierogies. So what kind of layouts have you operated on? Anybody that we would recognize?
I've been a regular on Perry Squire's Shawmut and Tony Custer's Nickel Plate because it's 2 hours away, and I usually carpool with Doug Watts to those layouts.
Okay, well, there's news. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Yeah, Doug Watts has been on the podcast. Hi, Doug. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah. I've been up further north to Jim Lady's Central New York and New England layout, which is a really cool layout. It might be, actually, it was an MR last year, I think. I don't have the issue around here. But really nice, lots of switching. Coming up, I'll be at Steve Salati's New York, Susquehanna, and Western, which is another fine layout.
What about
lots of operation there?
What about Ken McQuarrie?
I haven't been. I've been to visit Ken's. I haven't operated at Ken's yet. He had some DCC issues recently, and just getting through that. And then he had a lightning strike or something.
Wow.
He had to call off a few operating sessions over the past few months.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
But are you hoping to get there?
I'm hoping. I'm on the call sheet, so we'll see what happens.
Because I can put in a good word for you if you want.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Do you think that, honestly, do you think that would help?
No, I don't think it would help at all.
All right. Do we have anything else to say about RPMs? Because I was thinking we would have a bit more of an in-depth discussion, but I'm thinking maybe we've beat the RPM discussion to death.
Well, I think a lot of people have realized that you get a lot of bang for your buck at an RPM meet. The cost is pretty low. You don't necessarily have to be a member of a national organization to attend. The focus is usually all in one place, all under one roof for the clinics, for the model display room, for the vendor room. And often some of these have extras on the day before, the day after for for operating layout opportunities or self-guided layout tours.
Yeah, because Dave, you have a self-guided layout tour on the Sunday afterwards.
We do.
NERPM runs on the Friday and the Saturday, and then on the Sunday you have a self-guided layout tour. And sometimes, occasionally, some of these NERPM events will have people set up, there's modular groups that will set up.
Right. There's the ModuTrack layouts, N-Scale and HO, were set up for the last one in Naperville, and they're set to do that again this coming fall. That meet was really well attended, and we suspect another strong turnout for registration there this year.
Because didn't a couple of years ago it combined itself with a tri-region convention in the Indianapolis area?
Yeah, it did, mainly because we were uncertain about a space in Naperville. Since we had hoped to have it at the community college back then, but the pandemic was, is it on, is it not, is it on, is it not? And it's also a state-owned institution, so if the pandemic was going to go on and they were going to shut things down, we'd be out of the facility. So Mike Skibby worked with the NMRA regions to, have it as an add-on event with the Indy Junction Tri-Region Convention.
So now, do you know something about each one of these RPMs that is happening? Like the Northern Alberta Railway Modelers Meet. What do you know about that? Like, how do you find out about it? Where do you go from there?
Well, basically, some folks send me info, a link maybe. That one is, they've got a website. Some of them I've been involved in. Some of them, some friends have been working on, like Dave Owens with the NERPM, meet that's coming up. So, it's just kind of happened over time. I've got my email at the bottom, and I encourage people to send me details if their event is not listed. Sometimes I find it on Facebook. It's like, oh, great. There we go. I got to add this to the list. In fact, I found one last Wednesday that was last Saturday. And I thought, oh, I wish I would have known about this. And it was an RPM at the Tennessee Railroad Museum in Chattanooga. In conjunction with the L&N Historical Society meeting.
Has there ever been any discussion amongst RPMers of making some sort of association where everybody could keep track and kind of check in?
There has been discussion about that, but that's not the point of the RPM. It's always been intended to be an informal an informal event with no organization except at the local level.
I know, it's kind of weird, isn't it, when you think about it? They've become so popular, and each one's called an RPM, and yet there is no, there's just no association with the next RPM.
Well, the brand is strong.
It is strong, but imagine how much stronger it would be even if there was just a very loose umbrella that everybody could check into, and Eric would know that, okay, here's this event coming up because they've checked into the RPM, and there could be a very loose umbrella situation where there would be guidelines of how to have a successful RPM.
Well, people ask me, Michelle was asking me recently over the past year.
But it's hard to get It's hard to get information out of you.
Out of me? What are you talking about?
We struggled for the first 25 minutes. I was fishing for questions, and now we're rolling like we're going 75 miles an hour down the interstate. What, did you finally get it out of second gear or something? What's going on?
I was just waiting for the right moment here.
Yeah, if you're waiting for good questions, you're going to have a long wait.
Well, no, there was. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah,
I think the best advice I ever got was on how to put together a meet is to go to one, and we basically followed that pattern on ours. Is that the right way? It's worked for us, but there are others that are a little different, and that's okay too.
Okay, so let's have that discussion about as you said. There is no formal organization that runs RPM meets. There's no judging. There's simply a registration, and everybody has opinions about the NMRA. And like our RPMs is the way of the future, and the NMRA is, struggling along because it can't seem to find the formula.
I don't know.
Eric, I know you have strong opinions about this.
No, I think RPMs have worked to promote interesting aspect of the hobby that has just been growing more and more. And I'm sure, I know the NMRA is slowly changing to embrace more of this too. I see it at local meetings. The presentations are more, many of the presentations I've seen would fit an RPM that I've seen at local NMRA division meetings. So I think maybe the mindset is changing in the hobby a little bit. But I always recommend to people who want to put on an RPM that, attend one. That's great. Formulate a plan. Don't try to do too much with your first one. Make it a single day event. Push to, get your local people in. Get the local interest going. Because that's your main target audience right there. Do 2 clinics in the morning, do a lunch, 2 clinics in the afternoon. Maybe someone's home layout open the next day. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid, Are
you talking to me?
And see where it goes from there. Well, you asked the question, right?
Should I be offended? I feel like you were talking directly to me.
No, I say it to myself a lot, actually. But yeah, it starts small. One of the neatest RPMs I attended was back in 2005. Bill Welch did it in his church in Northern Virginia. I think there were 20 people there, and Marty McGurk was there. Ben Halm was there. Bill Welch, there were like 3 or 4 clinics and about 20 or 30 models on display. and it was a great time. I brought a couple people over from Morgantown, West Virginia, where I was living at the time, and we were just buzzed going back west over the mountains, talking about the event the whole time.
And that's what it's all about, getting juiced.
Okay, but
go back and build models.
Okay, but let me ask you this, you guys, both you and Dave and Eric. And by the way, Eric, when you went to this particular RPM meet, did you dump out anybody's slides or did you just let it roll?
I plead the fifth.
So, okay, but let me ask you this question. This is where I guess why I want to help promote RPMs, and I wanted to have this discussion because I find it sometimes to be like a secret society, which will turn people off faster than anything else if they get the sense that it's a secret society. And I found that when Dave and I were trying to we're having a discussion about NERPM, which was great. We had a lot of fun that night, promoting NERPM, and I'm happy to do it, and I look forward to doing it every year. But then we started talking about Hindsight 2020, and we couldn't remember the name, and we couldn't find a website, and blah, 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 blah. And I find that RPMs give off a feeling of it's a secret society. These are the guys that, we don't have a formal organization because we don't want to have any rules or anything like that. And I'm thinking to myself, there's 20 plus of these things a year. Would it kill you guys just to get yourselves slightly organized so that you could have more RPMs, more people could enjoy it? I think was part of the discussion I wanted to have because it does seem like a secret society to me almost.
How could it be a secret society if there's no dues?
Hard to find. No, but I think
it's been right there. It's been right there the whole time. It gets profiled in magazines, gets talked about on discussion lists. In some cases, the issue is there are people who won't access the internet for information. Okay,
I just typed in RPM into Google search. There's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing about railroad prototype modelers meets. There's nothing.
It's because it's also a lot of car stuff, probably.
Right, but I mean, what would kill a bunch of guys getting together and saying, "Hey, let's get this slightly more organized. Let's make this even better than it was before."
Well, if you type in railroad prototype modelers, I see a number of hits.
I just did it too. Yeah.
I see a whole page of links and hits and stuff.
Sure, and that's what I just did.
Yeah.
And it's railroad prototype modeler.
Modelers with one L.
Modeler, railroadprototypemodeler.com.
Well, that's what is that? That's John Golden's website. That's his blog.
Okay.
That's where he discusses what he's doing and what places he's been.
So, Dave Owens, as somebody that's put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, where do you fall down on this particular discussion? Because that's what I want. I want it to make it as easy for people as possible. And like we've talked many, many times, Dave. You can't argue. We've talked many, many times about making sure people realize it's for everybody. It's not for a particular type of modeler. It's for everybody. So where do you fall down on this? Let's not have any kind of organization to this. Let's just let it happen helter skelter.
I fear that if somebody tried to organize it, there could be trouble. Not horrendous trouble, but the big issue I think is scheduling. And we try to avoid conflicts with each other. We try not to have two events too close together on the same weekend. And most of us, I think, kind of have a sense of when the events are, and we can plan around it. And now that we have Eric's schedule, we can, these guys have picked this weekend. Let's not get too close to that one. In terms of, I guess I'm wondering what the benefit is of having some sort of central, I don't know what you would call it, central organization. What would we get from that? What would be the purpose of doing that, other than scheduling? It's not like we have resources. These are all basically we do them to cover the expenses. There's nobody who's pocketing a bundle of cash. It's just just an event that a group of people want to put together to serve the hobby, to serve the local modelers, to bring them together. And as you saw, the friends coming together is such a huge part of it. Just get to meet.
Right. I totally understand that it's not like the NMRA where they charge money and they have a reasonable size bankroll so the board of directors can get free trips around the world. I get that. But still, I mean, you guys are on the verge of something. You guys are on the verge of the new world. And it's almost like you're kind of going, like you're at the one time you're trying to say everybody's welcome. At the other hand, you're saying, well, we'd really rather not be organized. Anyways.
Well, I don't think that means anybody's not welcome. I think a lot of us probably, we organize our events and we're like, all right, man, I'm glad that's over. I don't have to do it for 6 months. And just, I think if there's a willingness to help others, share information, to attend others and, do clinics to help out. But, I don't think we're trying to hide from anybody. The hindsight guys are actually very active about, do their best to let people know so that people can sign up. I'm hitting my email list and hitting some of the Yahoo groups about the groups.io groups about the Proto Meet just to try and spread the word and generate interest. And
David, do you have a group of people that are like your crew that does all the stuff that has to get done to get this thing to work?
I do a lot of the upfront stuff, and I got a buddy Tom Murray and Chris Slemp who do key stuff, and John Sacerdoti helps. And then I have people who help me during the event itself.
During the event. Yeah, it's sort of, Lionel, it's sort of like that. It's not necessarily a national group or whatever. It's more local, and that's the organization.
Well, sure, but I'm talking to two guys that are enthusiastic about the hobby.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm enthusiastic about this podcast, and I want to spread the word any way I can find. I don't want to keep it a secret. I don't want it to be a secret. I don't want it to be, if people happen to stumble across it, total bonus. I'm not looking to keep it a secret. So I'm always trying to figure out, and, Lord knows I'll never start an organization of Model Railroad Podcasts. However, there are some podcasts out there that if you're looking for ways to go to sleep, they're ideal. They're snoozers. Well, that's true. There's some podcasts are just boring. That's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always enjoy having this discussion about railroad prototype modeler meets because I think they're a great thing. They seem to be hit and miss to find them. And, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time the guys got themselves it's like what I say with the NMRA. You want to make the NMRA grow, lower the dues to $19.95. You can say to everybody, you don't really get anything other than a membership card, but we're all standing underneath the same umbrella. Period. End of sentence. Right? So you don't have to have a railroad prototype modelers meet a membership cost or anything like that. But you would think by now, after all these years, people would at least been organized enough to go, well, there's the one in St. Louis and there's one in Chicago. But anyways, that's just my opinion. And my opinion.
Well, I try to promote the other ones on our Facebook group. I'll certainly put links to the web pages and say, hey, this event's coming up. A bunch of us are going to travel to it. This is a great meet. I try to promote other events as much as I can. Eric is also a administrator on our Facebook page because he's a master of posting all sorts of great content. And, key to having an active, engaged Facebook page is having new content posted. So I think I invited Eric to do that several years ago, and he does a great job. And he does that, I think, on a bunch of different. He's got that access on a bunch of different Facebook pages for prototype meets to sort of keep people engaged and talk to people about modeling, and so there is sort of a loose something there, not a real organized thing, but I think there's a loose effort from people to promote each other and to help each other out. and to avoid conflicts.
Well, Mr.
Conflicts.
Well, Mr. Owens, you know what I think about how hard you try to promote this hobby and make it better and better and better for everybody. So I think me personally, my own personal opinion, that's my own personal opinion, the RPMs would greatly benefit from some sort of, hey guys, let's at least all have an email chain where we're all on the same page. We have like RPMs don't even have everybody that runs an RPM. They're not even all on the same email chain. They're not all talking to each other. Is there an IO group about are doing an RPM meet?
I started one years ago, or someone, maybe it wasn't me, called National RPM Meets, and the idea being everybody, it could be a clearinghouse, but it really never became that.
Well, that's on Facebook too.
Yeah. Yes, on Facebook. Yes. I don't know whether I started that or someone else did, but that was the general idea, to sort of be a clearinghouse for, hey, we're doing it this weekend. Is anybody else planning it? And for any other need for people to talk to each other. But as I said, it really didn't pan out that way.
Yeah, I'd say any one of these events, the people who volunteer their time to put on any one of these events, would probably welcome the opportunity to guide another group to, get another event going. And each of these are slightly different. None of these are exactly the same, which I find to be really refreshing, because I can go to 3 or 4 different RPMs in a year, and none of them are exactly the same.
No, exactly. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the whole thing is like bonus, bonus, bonus. It's another great arm of model railroading. Let me ask you this question, Eric. We'll finish with this question. What is it about this hobby that makes people so interested? Like, what is it about this hobby? Because I'm talking to Eric, who's in Philadelphia. I'm talking to Dave, who puts his blood, sweat, and tears into his NRPM and helps the Amherst Society so much. And like, part of what this podcast has become for me for 10 years is this endless search of, why are all these people, what is it about this hobby that makes it so enticing to the people that are heavily involved? Because you look at yourself, Eric, I mean, you've got this design build ops page and you've got the RPM calendar. Like, do you feel like the more you do, the better connection you get, or does it enhance your life, or what is it?
Well, for me, I've learned a great deal from others over the years. And I feel it's part of my mission to give back, to help others understand different aspects of the hobby, whether it's modeling techniques or prototype or helping with different meets like this, in order to help them along. And that's where I find a lot of joy, is at these meets, people learning and discovering new things. And, for a lot of us too, we've been living with this hobby for a long time. And it's the memories of those people who have helped us in the past and the experiences that we've had in the past that keep us going. And that's the joy that we've had all these years and continue to have as we move forward.
Well, that's it. It's the people in the hobby for sure. What do you think? Dave, what is the one constant about through model railroaders throughout the world? What's the one constant that they all have? Because I interviewed our buddy Marcus Neubacher, because one day he had posted a picture of him and his dad from early 90s, late 80s, flying over a rail yard in North Carolina, Hamlet, North Carolina. And his father was a weekend aviator, and had been an aviator in the Vietnam War and had his own private plane. And Marcus and his dad, when they were out, Marcus liked to rail fan. And, Marcus became was a train guy from the age of, 5 or 6. But it was a fascinating thing that they were rail fanning in his dad's plane. And so we had a discussion about it. And the thing that I found the most fascinating about that was his dad was an aviator. That was his dad's hobby, was aviation. Marcus, his hobby was railroading, rail fanning and model railroading. You couldn't, almost two separate things completely. And I never got really in depth with Marcus about the question about how did, what was it about trains that drew you to that? I think that's the great unanswered question that will maybe never be answered by anybody.
Of what draws people to trains?
Yeah.
It's probably pretty similar, I'll bet, for a lot of people. Some influence as a kid, being near the tracks or a relative was into trains. I grew up in Philadelphia and near the elevated train that ran into Center City from my neighborhood. And that's what I saw. That was the train to me. And then there was an old Lionel set ended up in my grandmother's house, and it wasn't powered, but we would play with it. And then I wrote when we moved to the suburbs, I rode commuter trains, and that was a different kind of train. And I found myself more and more enthralled by all of this. But it really didn't, as fun as it was, as much as I enjoyed it, it didn't become fun until I was with other people who shared the hobby. And when I learned that, hey, people do this thing called rail fanning, where they go out and look for trains, and they go out together. And I remember my first rail fanning trip. That was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. And then sitting around a table with a bunch of guys working on models. And holy mackerel, if I don't know how to do this, I'll bet the guy across the way from me does. And sharing knowledge. And it just, the hobby is better with other people around.
Oh, for sure. But it's deeper than that, because lots of kids live near the L. Lots of kids lived near the L. Lots of kids rode commuter trains. Lots of kids were near trains. But for some reason, some kids, and here's my theory. I'm convinced that somewhere when a child is born, there's a ferry that goes to a hospital and spreads pixie dust on individual kids, and model railroad pixie dust, and that's how they become model railroaders. Because, like I say, lots of kids lived near the L. Lots of kids rode commuter trains. But what is it about these people, those of us who become lifelong model railroaders? It's a fascinating subject, and I wish I could find the answer, because I'd love to know the answer.
Well, for some people early on, it was you could combine several different toys to create something, to make something, to build. You could, break out your Matchbox cars and have them on roads beside your Lionel train set, and you could make buildings out of Tinker toys or blocks, and that was fun. It was cool. It was the stuff you had right there, and you could just massage it into place and then change it the next day or the next week. And then it goes from there.
Two things that helped me was, I think I told you, when I was in Cub Scouts, or every year around Christmas time, we would go visit a train layout that was an HO scale layout that just enthralled me, and that helped feed my desire.
Dave, I'm going to cut you off. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance, because I think I have a thought. The fact that you went to visit a layout, lots of kids visited layouts. Your job as the guy that, like I said, you and John Sacerdoti are two individuals that I've met that try as hard as you can to bring the hobby to everybody. And it's like, sure, I get it. You went and you visited a layout, but lots of kids visit layouts. There's something about, it'd be fascinating to know what it is, that one link that draws everybody together about trains. I'd love to know that. And maybe that's kind of the magic. Maybe we never should know.
Perhaps.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Shadow knows.
That was rude that I cut you off there.
Not at all.
Yes, it was.
Show.
It was.
But I know there just were things along the way that kept me,
well, sure,
egging me along and kept me interested and captivated. So until beer and girls in high school.
Well, yeah, and then the hobby just gets better the more people you meet and blah blah blah, which draws me back full circle to railroad prototype modeler meets. Let's not make it a secret society. Let's make it as well known as possible, because the ones that I've been exposed to, I never got the impression. Yeah, there's snobs, but I've never gotten the impression. Certainly, I didn't get it at NRPM, that I wasn't welcome and that everybody didn't want to have a chat. That's for sure. I mean,
and I've never felt that at any of the meets I've attended. That it was anything other than a welcoming and open place where everybody was welcome and invited to be there.
Okay. And I'm still not a big fan of blogs, Eric.
That's okay. I understand.
It's maybe that name, we adopted. Prototype Modelers That
Well, that's
sort of
it.
maybe sets us off. It inadvertently sets us off.
Well, and that's originally what it was, though, wasn't it? It was originally set up by some people that wanted to prototypically model trains, because for some people, admitting that they're model railroaders is very hard to do publicly, because a lot of the unwashed go, "Oh, you play with toy trains," which of course is about as far from the truth as you can get. But I think originally the intention was, we're serious prototype modelers. We're trying to recreate the prototype as closely as we can. And
I think there was also a reaction and I'm not anti-NMRA. I'm a member of the NMRA. But I think there was a reaction to some of the NMRA contests where people would bring in a highly detailed prototypical model, and it didn't receive any recognition in the contest, but something.
It did receive a merit award.
Yeah, but something, and maybe you can speak to this too, Eric. Something that was a complete fantasy, but was carved out of a 2x4, won the award because of some standard in the NMRA judging criteria, and I think the early meets were somewhat of a reaction to that. Come on, let's not play this game anymore. We're focused on trying to create realistic models that exist on the railroad, and let's get together on our own. I suspect that's a part of what got this going.
Yeah, the RPM movement started in the early 80s out on the West Coast. I think in conjunction with the La Mesa Club, getting space and planning something new. And you got to remember, at that time, you didn't have the Proto 2000 kits yet. You had Athearn. You had MDC. And we had a couple articles in the press. Dennis Storzik, who sadly just passed away, had an article about upgrading Athearn cars. And John Nerick started publishing about upgrading different freight cars too. The New England, Berkshire, and Western group at the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute were also pushing that. But the first RPM meet, I believe, was in '84 out west. I believe it was Joe D'Elia, Proto Power West, hosted that. Then Martin Lofton got involved with Sunshine Models. He started producing things shortly after that and hosting RPM meets. So it was a concerted focus on improving your skills and your modeling and your models to follow specific prototypes. And then the issues with some NMRA judging occurred not long after that. And the RPM movement kind of grew separately from the NMRA.
Hey, Kelly.
Yeah.
When I was listening to Dave's story about the NMRA judging, sounds like somebody was unhappy that they didn't win a prize.
I never had.
Yeah. Sure. I know. I don't
think it was necessarily didn't win a prize, but didn't achieve the merit award level. Yeah. They put in time and effort to transform something fairly common to replicate a prototype, and very well, and it didn't pass muster because it wasn't scratch built, because it was modified kit, even though there's a photo there of the prototype, and comparing it with the model, it didn't meet the metrics of the judging of the time.
I think that's a great point to make about railroad prototype modelers. I mean, it's not about what you can scratch build. It's about the details you can add to a particular locomotive or boxcar or freight car. It's not about necessarily your modeling skills. It's more about what is it you're doing? What are you modeling? That kind of thing. It's very definitely, there are no parameters. You can bring in your Athearn boxcar, but if what you want to show off is how well painted and lettered and detailed it is, everybody's happy to see it.
That's right. Every model tells a story, really.
Yeah, and maybe that's the biggest thing is that an Athearn boxcar is welcome in a railroad, an RPM meet. You know, if somebody has painted it, that's, I think the real key is to continue to encourage people to bring in whatever it is they're working on at whatever level, whether they've painted it, they've hand painted it with a brush and they want to, you know, that feeling of, hey, they can join in. Man, you gotta, that's probably what RPM's really, today's version of the RPM is really all about. It's certainly what NERPM is all about anyways. Is that correct, Dave?
Yeah, and we're no different than the other meets I've attended. It's all
right,
about
right. But you haven't
encouraging, sharing, inspiring.
Yeah, exactly.
Having fun.
All right. Well, it was a good discussion. It was a fun talk about RPMs. What do you think, Eric? What do you think about Kalmbach being sold?
Well, the only constant is change in business. I was in business 13 years and saw records go from popular to zip, and CDs become real popular, and then all of a sudden nothing was selling. So that was so much fun. But yeah, everything changes in business, and I'm not surprised. I don't know what to say.
I'm actually encouraged. One of our regular guys, one of our AML regulars, his name is Chris Wayman, who, by the way, produced dozens and dozens and dozens of Green Frog Productions videos. And there's many more secrets from Chris Wayman that we have yet to discover, but we're going to keep working on it.
I'm sure.
And anyways, the fellow Firecrown Media, the fellow that owns Firecrown Media, is the son of one of the gentlemen that started the trucking company, U.S. Express. And they have a very, very successful website publishing company called Freightways, which is about American, transportation and on the road and everything. I got to feel, after my discussion with Chris Wayman about this, which was on viewer mail number 114. Is that correct, Kelly?
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Sounds good.
Okay. I have great hopes now for the future of Model Railroader and these Kalmbach publications. It's going to be very, very interesting to see.
Tony Custer was saying that he was hopeful too, that these guys are going to invest. And
I don't think it's a case of being hopeful. From what I've discovered from our buddy Chris Wayman, I don't think it's a case of hopeful. I think it's a case of this guy's got some plans and fully intends to make it a very worthwhile investment.
Yeah, when you look at his stable of magazines, they're really high profile. I mean, between planes and yachts, and now he's going to venture into model railroading and trains.
Yeah, and just the way they've approached the whole thing is
should be really fantastic.
It could be really, really fantastic. I think you guys are going to be quite pleasantly surprised. I think I'm going to be very pleasantly surprised. All right, that's it. We're done. We're going to add something to this.
That's a surprise.
What's a surprise?
That we're going to add something to this.
Well, sure. It's only an hour and 10 minutes. We got to at least add an intro and a wrap up.
Right. And would this be on the free channel?
I have no idea. I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
That's why they do an intro and outro.
Got it.
Yeah, because I just wanted to have this discussion with you guys because I feel like every couple of years we got to have this RPM discussion in order to get this, because I'm still, me personally, I'm of the train of thought that it's like a secret society.
Well, you could also think that the entire hobby is a secret society.
That's slowly being revealed.
That it's slowly being revealed through the magic of the digital age.
Yeah.
And the more that the RPMs can do to expose themselves to the world, the better off everybody's going to be.
I'd be careful with your wording.
Yeah, that's a little concerning.
Make themselves available to the world?
That sounds
that's better.
I like
better.
it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Oh, you know what? We'll get Eric to do, Kelly.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, Eric, have you ever listened to the podcast?
I listen pretty regularly. That's why I sent you the information via Facebook not too long ago. After one or two of the more recent shows.
Okay. And what was that
You
information?
probably didn't read, right? You don't read your Facebook Messenger that much, do you?
Well, I get a lot of stuff that people send.
I heard you prefer texting, right?
I do. If you really want to talk to me, you need to text me. Okay, have you seen the index of Michiana NMRA Division video president?
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that then. Why were you so hyped up about that?
Because there's a ton of videos right there that people can easily access that cover a lot of ground. Some of it's RPM oriented, some of it's model oriented. But it's just incredible what that division has been doing is with their video presentations.
And where is the Michiana Division?
It's on the border between Michigan and Indiana.
See, now don't get me started about the NMRA, because this is a perfect example of things that just irritate the living jeebus out of me about the NMRA. Why are we relying on a division to create such an excellent page? So that it's Michiana, MICHIANA -NMRA.org.
That's correct.
And that's their URL. And then I guess I'm going to go to their home page and see if I can figure out how to get to this video page. I'm clicking. Okay, now I'm on the home page. I see home, about, meetings, conferences, resources. I'm going to guess that it's under resources. And under resources, I see beginner's guide, achievement program, education, railfan. So how do we find there it is, way down in the bottom right-hand corner under NMRA beginner's guide is the Michiana Railroad Video Archive. So man, they could make that a little more prominent. And then there's this page, there's this huge page of videos that are available for people to watch, that I'm assuming it's these particular videos were, how would they have been produced? Any idea?
I think they're done during the Zoom meetings that they have. So these are all on YouTube now. They've been going on since, looks like June of 2020.
And all individually, this is all through the Michiana Division? Like this is their...
Yep. Yeah, and they have guests that come in. I clicked on one from July of 2020, and I see a couple faces I recognize that I know don't live in that area, but they're friends with people who are there, and they were invited on board.
Now, the one I'm looking at is the Mono Train 57, Michigan City to Lafayette. And it seems like a fellow named Seth Lincoln is presenting it.
Okay.
And there's also a name Mike Elbert up there, too. Maybe that was his photo or something. Maybe that's what we're looking at. Yes.
I recognize many names on here of people who have also presented at RPM events.
Yeah, this is a great index of it. But why is it in a division? Why does
that's the division that was started by Jim Six, as I recall.
Jim had hosted an RPM type of event there in the Michiana Division for a few years. Yeah,
and I think he actually created the Michiana Division within the NMRA.
Could have. Yeah.
That region.
It takes someone to do the work, Lionel, and I think in many respects some of the best stuff in the NMRA is happening at the division level.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. And I've gone to the NMRA.org, the home site of the National Model Railroad Association NMRA.org. I've clicked on Beginner's Guide, and there are some videos here, but there's no mention. Like, why is it that people who put this much effort into it don't have better exposure through the NMRA itself?
That sounds like a presidential question.
No, I think it's a discussion for grassroots. It's the grassroots that have got to get things different. Like enough with the $70 a year membership, and they can't send out a welcome email. Like I understand it's done by volunteers. But it's like, you know what the NMRA is to me? This is Kelly, you're going to love this.
Okay.
I think you gentlemen are at a moment in the modeler's life history that you're going to hear many, many times in the future. You know what the NMRA reminds me of?
What does it remind you of, Lionel?
The Toronto Maple Leafs. A once great organization that can now not get out of its own way and couldn't win a Stanley Cup if their life depended on it. When the puck comes towards the goalie, he doesn't understand the general purpose of close your legs and stop the puck. Don't wave at it as it's going by. Don't just acknowledge that you've seen the puck as it goes into the net.
So will there be an Anna Murray Elimination Day ahead?
No, seriously, though. Is this not an organization that just can't get out of its own way? I had this.
got to give Gordy some time. He's trying.
It's a big ship to turn.
Why is it that? Why does it? Why can the Las Vegas Knights? Why can the Las Vegas Golden Knights in 7 years win a Stanley Cup, and in 58 years, 6 decades, the Toronto Maple Leafs can't get out of their own way to win a Stanley Cup? Because it's a poorly run organization. I understand that everybody's excited about Gordy, and I understand things have changed. But I've been having this discussion with him. I had this discussion with Martin Jenkins, who's the worldwide director at large. I said, why can't you send out because people complain that they send in their dues and they don't hear anything from anybody for a month. Like they join, they're brand new members and nobody hears anything from anybody for a month. And I'm saying, there isn't somebody at head office that can go, hey, we had 4 new members today. Let's send them out an email.
You would think that the head office would have some sort of email template that's automated that they could set up to send to someone in a certain division and a certain region to let them know who the division leaders are, in that spot after they've joined up. The problem is, and I've been an NMRA division superintendent, the monthly Excel spreadsheets for members that come in, oftentimes it takes 2 months for a new member to show up.
Okay.
Because of they come through the region before they hit the division, and I don't know, it seems like they aren't updating the overall database as quickly with new member info as what you would want.
And what would be a word to describe that? Pathetic.
No, antiquated software.
And you know what? At the old AML network, at the old AML headquarters, at the old Modeler's Life podcast, we have a Patreon tier where every year you get a free T-shirt, and it's now turned into when will I get my T-shirt? Because everybody gets their T-shirt, but it's a question of when will you get your T-shirt? Because the person that's in charge of that is pathetic.
Jeez.
Like if you can't correct a situation, if you can't admit a situation, and I have discovered you guys are probably on one of the most historic Modeler's Life podcasts ever. The NMRA is like the Toronto Maple Leafs. 6 decades of just complete ineptitude, of not even able to. They haven't been able to win a playoff round in 30 years. It's just complete ineptitude. And it's like, great, I understand we're going to change this reason. But by the way, send us $70 so that you can be a member to get nothing.
Whenever I got the membership update, I would always check it for a new member. It was usually highlighted, and I would send them out a welcome immediately.
Well, sure you would, because you're conscientious. Like you say, at the division level, that's where the NMRA works.
Yeah, and communication at the division level is key to retention. Mm-hmm. And, of course, retention is key to encouraging new people to join.
Exactly. And are you glad now that you pointed out about the Michiana division to me?
Yeah. Yeah, it may have taken, 6 weeks for you to discover that, but, it's...
Well, no, I discovered, but are you kind of regretting it now, aren't you?
No, not at all. I mean, it's a great resource there. There's a lot of wonderful presentations all lined up there on one page.
It's unbelievable.
And why are they all on a division page? That's where
it originated.
Yeah, but okay, why isn't somebody at the NMRA, who in the NMRA is monitoring this, so that they can go, hey, we got to put these videos on our website?
I don't know if some of them are associated with the NMRAX stuff or not.
No. Anyways, now you've lit the fire.
Light fuse, roll away.
Yeah, exactly. Ducking. What is it? What was it during the Cold War? Duck and
cover.
Yeah, duck and cover under the desk. Yeah, like that.
I could never understand that. They always took us in the hallway.
Yeah. Like getting under your wooden desk is going to save you from a nuclear blast.
Yeah,
I don't think they were telling us everything we needed to know at the time.
No, they kept things close to the cuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going to send you the link for the.
No more links.
No more. Okay.
He's all linked out.
There's a lot of NMRAX presentations on YouTube too.
I understand that. And what is NMRAX? Is it a separate arm of the NMRA?
Oh.
No, it's just NMRA on the web. It's
And where do you find that? And where do you find that on the homepage? Good luck finding that on the homepage.
I don't know. I didn't look at the homepage. I've subscribed to it, so I just looked at it through YouTube.
6 decades. I've been waiting for them to just, if you could stop that puck, well, you'd be doing us a huge favor. If you could acknowledge that it's gone past you, give it a wave, spit at it, anything, just so we know that you're seeing the puck would be huge. And that's what it is. The NMRA is like the Toronto Maple Leafs, just 6 decades of ineptitude. I apologize to the people that are working so hard at the NMRA because I know there are a lot of people working very hard to try to turn this boat around. But at some point, the boat has to turn around. And I would say a very, very simple indication that the ship has started to turn around is that new members get some sort of acknowledgement that they exist. Kind of like the puck's going past the goalie. If they could just acknowledge that we've gotten your money, we understand you're a brand new member. Hey, here's a little email saying thanks very much.
Now, it also depends on if the information conveyed by the new member is properly written so that it can be entered into the database and then sent out to the regions and divisions. There have been several times where I've noticed that an email is incomplete on the database.
Well, how about this? I think we can all agree that I'm basically an idiot. I have no problem with that. You'd be much. I always say to people, you'd be much happier if you just thought of me as your dim-witted brother. You'll understand me much better. My little Patreon site, my little website. You join Patreon, you get a welcoming message. It's automatic. They give you the opportunity to write a welcoming message that automatically goes out to a new member. Now, because I'm like your dim-witted brother, it took me 6 or 7 months to figure that out 7 or 8 years ago. But once I figured it out, I did it. And everybody gets a, hey, thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining. Blah, blah, blah. I don't understand it. If I can do it, if your dim-witted brother can do it, an organization the size of the NMRA where people who are directors get free trips around the world, they should also be able to do it. You should take some responsibility for the fact that you're taking money from people to travel from places in Europe or places in Australia or other places around the world and getting free trips to the Springfield train show. You should take some responsibility and at least have some sort of conscience and get this job done. Thank you, Eric, for bringing that to my attention.
Sure. Are you going to stop by Saudi Daisy sometime to sit down and show them how to do this?
No, I could care. I hope the NMRA continues, but it's not my job, man. I'm doing my job through the podcast.
Okay. Well, you figured out how to do it with the podcast. I thought maybe you could show them. If the
NMRA survives, I'll be thrilled. If it doesn't, it's not going to change my life one iota.
Okay.
I mean, isn't that basically the truth? I'm going to still go to RPMs. I'm still going to have my podcast. I'm still going to read the magazines. It ain't going to change my life at all. I hope the NMRA survives and thrives in the years to come. And I also hope the Toronto Maple Leafs eventually win a Stanley Cup.
So Lionel, I went to the homepage of the NMRA, and there's no mention whatsoever on the front page of the videos on YouTube. You'd think there would be a link just to go to that.
There you go. There you go. All right, let's stop talking because we just made a great show. So you know what?
Good.
So you know what? We'll have to still do an intro and an outro because if it ends up on the free channel, we gotta talk about our sponsor.
Sure, yeah.
So now, Eric, the key here is you were going to end this segment, and you're gonna.
Well, I just found the link for the NMRA videos.
Where is it?
Well, there's that's a slideshow that goes across the center, and there's like 7 dots underneath it.
Oh, okay.
Click on the second dot. I mean, it would have showed up.
Oh, okay. All right. I
cycled through, but it's there.
Okay. I see it now.
All right, there you go.
So I do have it up. That's good.
And where's the link there to all the videos in the Michiana division?
Don't know.
There isn't one because the head office barely supports the divisions. They barely know that the divisions are alive. What do they send them? 50 cents out of every membership or some ridiculous thing like that? I think they send regions $2 or $5 or something.
Yeah, regions get money. I don't think divisions get money.
No, exactly. Because other people have to get free trips around the world.
Jeez.
Kelly, everybody's put on this planet for a reason.
That's right.
There you go. And imagine if this was a snooze fest. You wouldn't hear any of this stuff.
No.
Okay.
Now it's a classic episode.
Maybe. To me, it just sounded more like me ranting. Here's how this episode sounded to me. Love having Eric and meeting up, talking with my friends Eric and Dave. Always enjoy having Kelly on the episode. First 20 minutes here, we had to get our mojo going. So it took us a little while to get our mojo going. Then we got our mojo going, and it was really interesting. And then we were just about to leave, and Eric kind of made a little bit of a dig of, I sent you some information that you never looked at.
That prompted you to action.
Yeah.
So then I went and looked at it, and it was like, oh, man, look at this. How cool is this? And that started a whole nother discussion that turned into me turning into rant, which turned into a classic modeler's life moment when I realized the NMRA is very similar to the Toronto Maple Leafs, just a completely disorganized organization that can't seem to get out of its own way. Because nothing changes. I love the Toronto Maple Leafs and I love the NMRA. Just because I love them doesn't mean anything's going to change. Eric, are you ready to do your part?
I think so.
Okay. What you have to do at the appropriate moment is say, subway chimes go. Now, it's not subway chime as in singular. It's subway chimes go.
Because there's 3 of them, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Do it.
It's the appropriate moment, huh? Subway chimes go.
So you ruined it by uttering words before it. The only way that would have worked if you had gone, it's the appropriate moment, eh? Pause, 1001, 1002, and then subway chimes go. But you ran it all together with your little comment. Would you like to try again?
I'll be happy to do it again.
Okay, go.
Subway chimes go, eh?
So, what did you think about my rant there, Brad?
I was very impressed with that. That showed your level of frustration quite well, and was a pretty creative comparison, I thought, to a hockey team.
Yeah, I kind of got carried away there, but it was like I wasn't gonna. Eric had sent me this link to the Michiana division, which I guess is like the mid-central region, and they have this spectacular video index. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, why isn't this on? Like, why can't the main NMRA do this? And then when I was ranting away, I thought, this is like the Toronto Maple Leafs, just 6 decades of. And the problem is, there's all kinds of great people working really hard to make the NMRA great.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then I'm stuck on this whole thing. They can't send out a new member a welcome email. I'm like I'm thinking to myself, Do they think when the money's deposited in the bank from a new member, it's just like a model railroad ferry that drops money in their bank account?
We would have to ask one of them. I don't know.
Because if that's the case, then because if they know that there's money being deposited, and I'm assuming that somebody's paying attention to the finances, otherwise, how would they be able to pay for their free trips? Did I say that out loud with my outside voice?
Mm-hmm.
I think you may, because I heard it, so I think you did. Yeah.
Right. You would think that if they can realize that money's been deposited in the bank, then they could find out who it was and send them a welcome email. Because you'd only probably, I would imagine, I wonder how many new members in a day NMRA gets. I was being very, very gracious, and I was saying 4 or 5. That's 25 emails a week they'd have to send out. I can't imagine it's that many. It's probably like 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 at max, because they struggle so hard to keep the membership at where it is. What do you think, Kelly? Oh, you were there for that, Kelly. My rant, weren't you?
I can't. I don't remember, Lionel.
Okay. Do you remember Brad?
Oh yeah, I was. But every time I remember him, I thought that was the last we'd see him, and he keeps coming back.
I keep sneaking in the secret into the studio doors locked, and I find a way in.
Did you see how I turned the words around there? He says he couldn't remember. I can't remember Lionel. So then I said, "Do you remember Brad?" And I said,
"Yeah, that was clever of you." Yes.
All right. Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
Turn your camera off, Bruce, because I can see you scouring the internet.
No, I'm actually looking at the Michiana division site.
Oh, okay. Tell us.
They're the ones who kind of pioneered the EduTrain thing, which is sort of a bunch of clinics that are ready to go and can be had for any division or region to present. So they've been
cool.
They've been sort of on the leading edge of the digital age for a long time, and I think they're pretty much all only digital. I'm not sure, but they
and there are a lot of
Are these things you can download, like presentations you can download and use?
The NMRA EduTrain is a series of presentations that you can download and use to present to your division.
But even in the Michiana,
that's cool.
What region is the Michiana division in?
They are in the Midwest region.
The Midwest region.
Yes.
Of the NMRA. How do I?
Yes.
I don't know how to spell Michiana because it's like. Oh, I get it. I get it. Let me guess. It's a combination of Michigan and Indiana.
Bingo.
And who said you were the dim-witted brother? You just nailed that.
Really?
We may have to revote, guys.
Yeah, look at me go.
Yeah.
But now I got to figure out how to spell division.
All right, cancel the revote.
Yeah, cancel the revote.
I'll read from their website. The Michiana division is the birthplace of the NMRA EduTrain training program. EduTrain is based on methodology for developing courses, clinics in brackets, based on many years of experience in government, industry, in the military, and education that has proven to facilitate the transfer of knowledge and skills. This methodology will provide higher quality and greater consistency for all clinics included in the NMRA EduTrain brand.
Where are you seeing that? Because I'm on the Michiana. I'm on the Michiana division website now. So where are you seeing that?
It's michiana-nmra.org/about.
About. All right, and then I'm like, okay, there's the NMRA National Organization, blah blah blah. Okay, where's it? So it's a ways down there or something, eh?
About the fourth paragraph down. It
consists of open discussion followed by program design. Wow, look at that. But see, then why isn't that featured on it? Don't get me started. Yeah, well, this show's over. Don't get me started. Now, let's go with Rapido Train. Rapido Train.
Fast track to model railroading fun.
The superintendent is Greg Bultman, Richard Schmaronsky.
Moravsky, I would say.
Okay. Is the assistant superintendent, Neil Thomas. Why can't everybody be named Neil Thomas? Or is the chief clerk? Or James Temple, he's the paymaster. The director at large is Ron Christensen. John Benicki. That's a great name for a hockey player. Benicki.
Benicki.
John
Yeah.
Benicki.
Mhm.
Steve Benicki. Well, now that's a left winger, 200-foot player.
Yep.
Chuck Hart.
Sounds like a power forward to me.
Yeah,
guy who will get you 25 goals and 200 penalty minutes.
Yeah, there you go. Your basic Chris Pronger.
Yeah.
All right. Enough hockey talk. All right. So anyways, Michiana division. I should include this link somewhere in the whole deal. And I love their. So we're on their thing. Where would you go to? Oh, resources. I bet you.
Under resources, they've got the page that comes up with all their.
Look at all this stuff.
YouTube channel, newsletters, a model railroad video archive.
Hang on, let me look. Okay, I'm the director of World War Rail Services, Michiana Division Archives, handouts. Okay, so where do you see there's the video archive right at the bottom. There it is. Look at that. They got 1 million. It's scroll and scroll and scroll. I don't know how many videos they've got, but you just scroll and scroll and scroll in there.
Well, they started in June of 2020, and now they're up to, holy moly, sometime April 2024 is their last bunch they put on.
Hats off to the Michiana division and what they're creating. But that's
very cool.
It's kind of one of the problems of the NMRA. It's all these little divisions are doing great work, and then the
other ones are just barely getting by.
Well, and the head office, the NMRA doesn't, the main website barely even knows these guys are alive.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that their main website is archaic. They know they've got problems. They're revamping it. So hopefully when they get the new one up and running, that there'll be a lot of more inclusion of stuff like this in there.
And they've been revamping it for years.
Yeah.
It's been archaic for years. That's their go-to argument. It's archaic. Well, okay, but do you think the model railroad ferry just deposits money in your bank account? Hey, look, we got another $70. I wonder where that came from. Do you think it came from a model railroader? No, I think it came from the model railroad ferry. Doug Hart. One of the videos is Doug Harding, Fun with Pickles.
There you go.
Cool. Yeah, she was a dancer on Broadway. All right. We're not making any sense here.
No.
I must admit I'm a little lost right now.
but to address your concern, there is a video from February 17th of 2024 called Using the NMRA Website by Chuck Hart that explains how to use the NMRA website. So there you go.
There you go, Lionel.
Yeah, a division is explaining how to use the NMRA website. Oh, my God. And my argument, of course, was that, if you join the Patreon channel, you get a welcome letter. And I'm thinking, and I go with, I'm your think of me as your dim-witted brother if I can do it. That's scary. If I can do it, that's scary. All right. That's it. We're done. Kelly, can you give out our email address?
Yeah. Oh.
I just gave you a great one for 1L.
My head is spinning right now. Okay.
Well, why? What are you looking at on the internet?
I'm not looking at anything. Oh God. I'm tired. I am so
he's following the conversation, which has highly resembled a serious train wreck. I think it was.
Well, no, fun with pickles on the Dick Van Dyke Show, and this will irritate the Queso Cowboy because we're making a reference to a TV show from the '60s, which was the last time the NMRA ran really well. I apologize. That's rude. I apologize. That's not true. There are people who are working very hard, and there are many departments in the NMRA that run very, very well. Anyways, on Pickles was Buddy Sorrell's wife.
Yeah, the wife.
Yeah, and she was a dancer on Broadway. So that's how I got to that. So I apologize, Brad, I'll speak slower.
Huh?
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, go ahead, Kelly. Give out our email address.
If you want to reach us for the wonders of email, you can reach us at modellerslife@gmail.com. That's modeler with one L like pickles, not two L's like Waybill.
Nice. Hey, not bad. Waybill, you grabbed that one out of the air.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
awesome.
it was about over the goal line, but he managed to snag it and bring it
Yeah,
back.
that was headed for the top shelf with the peanut butter.
Butter. Yeah.
And he
Indeed.
grabbed that one. It was a
Kelly flashed the glove hand out there at the last minute.
exactly.
Press that glove out in rapier-like fashion.
Yep. It was a scintillating save.
Yes, indeed.
Ooh,
You know
that's
what?
a great word.
That's nice word.
Yeah. You know what, Brad? If you ever want to do yourself a favor, and you're
Okay.
looking to kill time, you're at one of those nights where it's the end of the night, and you're kind of like you're just surfing through YouTube because you've got no energy to do anything else.
Mhm.
You're looking for Danny Gallivan and the Montreal Canadiens.
Okay, I will do that.
Being a hockey guy like you are, Danny Gallivan was the play-by-play announcer for the Montreal Canadiens up until I'd say towards the end of the 80s.
Okay.
But he had all these fancy words. It's a scintillating save, a cannonading shot, and on and he stuck the glove out in rapier-like fashion.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Savardian Spinorama.
Yeah, the Savardian Spinorama. Yeah, and on and on and on. Did you know that Ken Dryden won 6 Stanley Cups by the age of 31 and then retired?
Yeah. He kind of hit at the right time. And
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, this is. Go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say he played before I was really a hockey fan, but the biggest thing I remember him for is he was Al Michaels. He was with Al Michaels calling the Miracle on Ice game.
Yeah. Do you believe in miracles?
Yes.
Well, I wonder if someday this show will be any good. That would be a miracle.
just keep believing.
Yeah.
It's a miracle we lasted this long.
Yeah, it's a miracle we lasted this long. Nice one. Come on, Kelly. Somebody's writing your stuff. That was pretty good.
No, I'm just.
You're surprised that it lasted this long.
He's using AI and the internet to come up with this stuff.
Yeah. All right. So, and if you didn't catch that email address, you go to our website, amodelerslife.com, and scroll down. You'll see a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. And all you got to do is click on that picture and the address comes up automatically. And away you go. And, if Jennifer Howell, if you're listening to this, we need your address. Jennifer Howell, we desperately need your address. There's other people whose address we desperately need, but we'll get to that on another. We'll do a show just about addresses we need.
That'd be like a 2-hour special?
Yeah, it'd be like a 2-hour special. John Bailey, we need your address. Jerome Barbario, we need your address. We'll stop there because we could go on for a while. Brian Krause, we need your address. Greg Davis. John Doring. Wow. I've given his shirts to him personally, but I still need your address, John Doring. And you could send those addresses to modelerslife.com. No, modelerslife@gmail.com. That's one L like Caroline, not 2 L's like Williamson. Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool? Yeah, wouldn't it be cool if Brad had a name like I don't know, Alan or Dale? And it would be like 1 L like Dale, not 2 L's like Williamson.
My middle name is Lee. That has 1 L.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's 1 L like Lee, not 2 L's like Williamson.
Mm.
Or it's 1 L. It's 1 L like what did I say? 1 L like Clifton, not 2 L's like Costello.
Ooh,
Nice.
you're on a roll.
I am. That's because I'm looking at the spreadsheet. The shirt spreadsheet.
Yeah, but we can't see that. So
That's true.
To us, you're on a roll.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Quiet, pal.
Oh,
Yeah.
Quiet.
he's on a roll. Roll. Ooh.
A roll.
It's two
L's like
it's
roll.
2 L's like roll.
And if you enjoyed this podcast and you'd like twice as much every week, if you go to our link for the Patreon channel, just for a few cents a day, you can get twice as much podcasting a week. And if you go to the T-shirt tier and join up that, then you can enter our "Hey, dude, where's my shirt?" contest, which is literally sweeping the nation.
The globe, man.
The globe now.
The globe.
Yeah.
Doug Eckhold.
Yeah, you got to update your script there.
Yeah.
It's starting to sweep the nation of Australia because we have a distribution center there now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, that's it. Doug Eckhold.
Hey, whoa. Speaking of T-shirts, What would happen if somebody wanted a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
Oh, yeah. What were you going to say, Kelly?
I just ordered mine.
What, your T-shirt with a hot dog?
I just ordered a T-shirt with a hot dog on it.
Attaboy.
What color did you get?
I got black.
All right.
The people of North Central Pennsylvania love those T-shirts too. I get compliments all the time from them.
There you go.
And of course, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, "Do you listen to the AML? What are you talking about? I just like the hot dog on your shirt."
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Can you record these podcasts?
No, I wasn't trying to be smart. That's what I can, yes. I'll record this one. I record them all because there's always a good chance that it would be my last. I figured out that my membership to the AML is written on one of those Etch-a-Sketch toys from the 70s. So, and you take great pleasure in shaking it.
I apologize. It's rude, and I apologize. All right, we got to stop now. We killed too much time. So if you want a T-shirt with a hot dog on it, if you go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and scroll across the navigation bar to Other, and hit the drop-down menu, you'll see the AML shop. And boom, you're in a wonderland of AML merchandise. Hats, hoodies, T-shirts, mugs, whatever you could possibly need. And in there, you'll find a T-shirt with a hot dog on it. And Brad,
but if you don't like scrolling in menus, you can just scroll down the page a bit and find.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
with the AML set on it to click on it.
I think we should give each other jobs so that then it'll sound like we're more organized.
If we don't screw up our jobs that we're given,
exactly. That's it.
You know who you're working with, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What were you thinking? Tune into a future show to find out.
Yeah. I feel sorry for poor Chris Wayman and other of the younger set that are with us, because what he doesn't realize is we're sucked him into being part of the AML broadcasting crew, because in 10 years he's going to be like, no, you've already said that 5 minutes ago. Like we're all going
we'll be like, we did not.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, in the future, this will be like 50 First Dates, the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be like Chris and Dave, Uncle Dave both will be like,
yeah, exactly.
You just repeated yourself 6 times in the last.
Okay, Kelly, can you take us out of here?
Yeah, I think I can.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I bet she's not, but we'll see. So remember, A Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
bow-legged hockey goalies.
Transportation for AML guests provided by Diamond Limousine. Diamond Limousine, where all of our vehicles are true diamonds in the rough.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Wow, nice one.
That was very nice.
You were ready.
I know.
Damn, you were ready.
Wow.